Yeah, here. Give me a bubba. This is an endangered Mexican wolf pup. Born at a conservation center, it's being delicately transferred to a wild den where it will join a litter of wild pups and meet its new foster mom.
Good job, guys.
Everybody back in the hole.
We want the ages to be closely coordinated for success. We think if the mom comes back and there's a pup that is similar in age to her own pup, she's very, very, very likely to keep the pups. I actually don't think we're fooling them. I think that she comes and the maternal instincts are so strong that she says, okay, here you go.
One of the benefits of fostering is you're taking a small den-bound pup and putting it into the wild population where it's raised in the wild by experienced wolves. And we're able to add genetic diversity to the population that way. The alternative is releasing adult wolves. When you're releasing an adult animal that's spent its first few years of its life in captivity, those animals do tend to show some nuisance behavior for the first few months of their life in the wild. And, you know, people's perceptions of wolves matters, and people's experience with wolves matters.
In parts of New Mexico and Arizona, people are learning to live with wolves. The Mexican gray wolf, or lobo, dwindled to within 7 animals of extinction. Wolves were reintroduced in 1998, and since then, the population has grown to over 200 in the wild.
This is actually historic Mexican wolf habitat, and so in a sense they evolved in this kind of country. So this has been a very historic situation that we can actually put them back where they started.
Mexican wolves currently can occupy anywhere in Arizona and New Mexico below Interstate 40.
Within that area, the wolves are managed and monitored by the Mexican Wolf Interagency Field Team. They're the ones sneaking into dens to place foster pups and darting wolves from helicopters to bring them in for health checks.
And put his head down on that end.
In addition to raising a population and trying to recover the wolves, you're also managing the wolves.
Yeah, he's an older wolf.
Management of the wolves entails people and conflicts that occur on the ground.
Conflicts, like when wolves target cattle.
We're going to measure his teeth and his spread of his canines to see if there is ever a livestock conflict, if he was the guilty party.
Though remote, this wild landscape allows almost year-round grazing, and wolves have been known to kill cattle.
You know, for a long time, ranchers resisted wolves. The slogan was "No wolves." Now we understand the American people want wolves, but the ranchers need to be compensated for their losses.
The Mexican Wolf Recovery Program offers ranchers reimbursement at full market value for any animal lost to wolves. To be sure, wolves aren't being unfairly blamed. The federal government released new evidence standards to follow as teams investigate cattle deaths. In 2023, Wildlife Services confirmed at least 99 wolf kills. But ranchers were also seeking compensation for indirect losses.
And that's really a lot more complicated because when wolves are in the presence of cows, they make them anxious. They conceive less, they have fewer births, they're walking around so the calves are smaller when they wean, and then there's animals that they never find. So there's an added cost of doing business. We're working with Fish and Wildlife Service and with New Mexico Department of Agriculture to develop formulas so that we can justify and have concrete grounds for paying those damages.
So inherently, we're trying to grow wolves, and folks who are raising livestock are trying to grow cattle and make money off of cattle. So there's a conflict there, but what we try to do is to do a variety of non-lethal tools first and foremost. There's firing off cracker shells, which is something that you shoot out of a helicopter and bangs up in the air, and so we try to move wolves away from cattle sometimes if they've started to depredate on cattle. Sometimes trapping them will get them to move. Having more human presence kind of keeps them from the cattle.
we're headed that way. Are they in cattle right now?
The Range Rider program is really neat. You know, it's the sort of, I think, romanticized version of a cowboy out on the landscape riding their herd, which it is, you know, to some extent. It's also, they're on ATVs and things like that. But what they're doing is just trying to keep wolves away from livestock. So they'll have telemetry receivers, and anytime wolves come near livestock, they'll go and haze the wolves away from that area.
Yeah, we got a signal for a female in this pack out in this pasture.
The ranchers will be able to get a local who knows the country, who can take remedial action. This is going to be a great boon to the rancher on the ground.
There's a lot of opposition to recovery of carnivores, top predators, and wolves in general. And when we first started this program, that opposition was certainly present. And I think one of the unique things about Mexican wolf recovery is it is a partner-led effort. We've come a long way since those first few days. Now we have both state agencies at the table, as well as a lot of the federal agencies and some tribes, as well as counties and livestock producers. You know, everybody has sort of realized that wolf recovery is here and it's here to stay, and so we're all working together to make it work for everyone.
They lived here, we exterminated them, and they have every right to be back here again. And if we can mitigate and keep the conflicts in that recovery program minimized, there's a good chance all of us can live together. And all of us deserve to have that chance to live where we want.